Alright, so welcome to the video that is on combining like terms and the distributive property. We're going to start off with combining like terms first. So to be a like term, you have to have the same variable. And it also has to have the same exponent. Okay, so all that says is an x and an x squared. Those are not like terms just because they have the same variable. They have to have the same exponent. So you'd have to have either 2x squareds, you could have x to the third and 2x to the third. They would be like terms because they have the same variable with the same exponent. Now when you combine like terms, you're going to add or subtract. The coefficients, and the coefficients are just the numbers in front of the variable. So 2 would be the coefficient for that term, 1 would be the coefficient if there is not one. Okay, and then you're going to keep the variables. So you're not going to add your exponents together at all. So if you were to combine a 1x cubed and a 2x cubed, you would add just the coefficients to get a 3, and then you would just drop down the exponent of a cubed. Okay, so let's look at some example problems. We're going to start off pretty simple. So how you show your work when you're combining like terms, you're going to circle things and you're going to make sure to circle the sign in front because that's going to tell you whether it's positive or whether it's negative. Okay, so we're going to add 17 and 21 to get 38, and then we're going to drop down that variable of an a, and we're done. Okay, so now on part B, when I am trying to see what looks alike, I see I have 12b squared, and then I have a negative 8b squared. And so those are going to be alike. And since that 8 was negative, I'm going to subtract the 2. So I know 12 minus 8 is a 4. I'm going to drop down my variable of a b squared. Now, I don't have anything to combine with that 6b, so I'm going to drop it down, positive 6b. Now we're done because a b squared and a b are not the same terms. Okay, and that's it. So your answer is going to be an expression of some sort. So why don't you actually try C, D on your own, and then we will go over them. So press pause right now and try C and D on your own. C, you should have got x plus 2. If you had 1x plus 2, you were still correct. They typically don't write that 1 coefficient if it's just a 1. On part D, you should have got negative C or negative 1C. Again, both are fine, plus 10B and minus 3. Okay, now again, order doesn't matter. You could have had that in any order and it would still be right. All right, let's take a look at E together. You could probably do it on your own, and if you wanted to, go for it. But I have a 6x squared, and then I'm going to pair that with a 12x squared. 6 plus a 12 would be 18. I'm going to drop down my x squared, and then I'm going to look at my other like terms. A 3x and a negative 8x are going to be like terms. So then 3's take away 8 is going to be a negative 5. Drop down my variable of an x, and then I'm left with that plus 7, so I'm going to drop it down. Okay? Alright, let's take one more look at part F. It's tricky because you've got 2 letters. Now an xy is the same as an xy, so I can combine these 2 terms, the 12xy and the negative 4 or minus 4xy. So 12 minus 4 is going to be an 8xy. And then I can't combine anything that's left, so I'm just going to bring everything else down. So minus 4z and then plus 19. Okay, and then we're done. So that's how you combine like terms. And this tool is going to be simple or used when you're going to be simplifying long equations. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we're going to jump to the distributive property. Now, the distributive property is going to involve multiplication. And how you show your work are your little rainbows, like such. And so you're going to multiply that negative 2 to every term inside those parentheses. So you're going to do negative 2 times a first, which is just say negative 2a. And then you're going to move on to a negative 2 times a 9, and that would be a negative 18, because a negative times a positive is negative. We're done. I can't combine any like terms, and so that's our final answer. Okay? Now 2 is tricky because there's no coefficient out front, there's no number out front. So if you want, you can put a 1 there to help you out as a placeholder. And then you're going to multiply negative 1 times negative 9. Now remember, a negative times negative is a positive, so 1 times 9 is a 9. And then you're going to multiply negative 1 times a positive 5, and so that would be a negative 5. And then we are going to drop down our variable. Again, I cannot combine like terms, so my answer is done. Alright, so that's what you do if there are 2 terms and nothing else outside. Now notice how the rest of the problems have got some more numbers or something else in front of the parentheses. Now you only have to distribute the number that is directly in front of the parenthesis. So that's what you multiply. So first off, do 10 times 8. 10 times 8 is an 80. So we're going to drop down that variable of an n. So 80n. Then I would do 10 times 4. 10 times 4 is 40. Positive 40, I bring down the plus sign. Now, you do not distribute the 10 to the negative 9. You're just going to bring down that negative 9. Okay? Now, this looks like a problem on the front page where we combine like terms. And since these are both coefficients without a variable, I can combine them. So 40 take away 9 would be a positive 31. Drop down that 80n, and we're done. Okay? All right, so why don't you try actually I'm going to do 5 real quick, and then you can try 4 and 6 on your own. So 5 is tricky because you've got 2 numbers in front of the parenthesis, and so you're probably concerned about which one to distribute. Now you need to look at the number that is directly in front, and it's confusing because it's a negative 10, not a subtract 10. So you need to distribute this negative 10 to the k, and this negative 10 to the negative 9. So negative 10 times k is negative 10k. A negative times a negative is positive. 10 times 9 is 90. Okay? Now, I can drop down that 8 that was randomly out front. And then I would combine like terms. So I've got 2 numbers right here, 8 and a 90, which I'd add together to get a 98, and drop down my negative 10k. Okay? So again, that's a little confusing if you've got 2 numbers in front especially. Look at the number that is directly in front and distribute that number and drop down the 1 in front. So why don't you try 4 and 6 on your own right now? So press pause and we'll go over it. Number 4, you should have distributed negative 8 to all of those and got negative 48 and negative 48n, or positive 48n, and then drop down negative 3, combine your like terms to end up with 48n minus 51. Now again, you could have any order and you'd still be right. On number 6, you had to distribute the negative 2, and so you would get negative 4 and then negative 14, drop down that positive 6, then you could combine your terms 6 and negative 4 to get a positive 2 and drop everything down. Okay? Alright, the last ones, which look like more work, so it's just distributing twice. So I need to distribute this number out front to only these terms, distribute this imaginary negative 1 to both of my terms. So let's do a negative times negative is positive, and then 9 times 8 is 72. 9 times 9 is 81, and that would be a negative 81p. Then I'm going to move on to a negative 1 times a positive 1, which is a negative 1. And then a negative times a negative we know is positive. So 1 times 9 is 9p. Now that you've distributed things twice, you now can combine your like terms. So I have 2 coefficients right here, and 72 minus 1 is a 71. And then I have 2 variables right here. So negative 81 plus a 9 would be a negative 72p. Okay? And now we're done because I do not have any like terms. So why don't you try number 8 on your own, and then we'll be done. You distribute the 2 and the -5 to each term, you would get that second line, and then after you combine like terms, you should have got 7r minus 17. All right, so again, let me know if you have any questions on the distributive property or on combining like terms. There is this lovely practice problem worksheet if you want some quick practice. I'm about to throw up the answers for you to check them. So press pause right now if you're wanting to do these practice problems. If not, move on. Here they are. So if you want to go ahead and pause your screen right now, here are the answers for 1 through 6. Let me know if you have any questions on those. Again, any order is okay. And then here are the answers to the bottom 2 distributive property ones. Okay? So again, press pause if you want to check your answers, and let me know if you have any questions and how I can help you. Thank you for watching.